athletics department's pretty healthy across the board at Vodtech. But when you watched this team last year and what you saw from the Hokies, are you a believer in Young long term? Did you think that they were better than their record, their KenPom ranking? Were they a little playing above their heads? Where are you at with the Hokies?
I think they were for sure better than their record. I don't think it was anything like this team should have won 28 games instead of 23, but
Mm-hmm.
they probably should have won a couple more somewhere along the season. So, like, I just pulled up their page just as an example. Flip two games that were
Mm-hmm.
decided by a combined 3 points. So they lost to Xavier on a neutral court. Xavier, failed to make the tournament. Lost to Virginia on the road by 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was a combined 3 points of losses. You flip those two, and that's a tier 2 win added and a tier 1 win added. They might not have even needed to beat Duke in that case to get into the field as an 11 seed. They're a weird team. They were top 40 for 90% of the season in KenPom, but they were basically entirely off the tournament radar until, I would say, like the start of March, because they kept piling up tough loss after tough loss. They were 2-7 at one point in the ACC. Really didn't pile together. I don't think they had a single truly impressive win until they beat Miami on the road in late February, and that was almost 4 full months into the season. But I mean, they got hot at the right time, turned those good metrics to a 4-game hot streak, delivered what I would deem a deeply satisfying win over Duke. Somehow only the third most satisfying Duke loss of the season, which is when you think of like Duke losing the ACC tournament by 15 and K's final chance to win it, that should be like a real high contender, and it was at best number 3. It could have even been number 4 if I went back and looked. I think Duke had a couple of real weird losses throughout the season, like Florida State by 1 on the road. I would honestly put that above the ACC title game because it was like Florida State was not good. But anyway, Tech got an unlucky draw in the tournament. You got a 6 seed Texas that KenPom saw as a 4 seed. And Texas, a bad shooting team out of nowhere, made 55% of their threes, and then you get bounced. That's March.
Yeah.
But I think you can take a lot of positives. They were the 3rd best team from 3 on the season at 39%. They were the best 11 seed in 6 years since Wichita State.
Wow.
Tech's offense is very good and has been basically the entire time under Young, which is not a surprise because he closed that Wofford run with a couple of fantastic offenses. And I think he's got his system that works really well, especially against zones. When he was at Wofford, they could dice up a zone defense so well with their shooting. If they're ever able to get the defense to come along as a top 40 unit, and it very well could happen this year because I like what they return, that's a team that could sustain a full year as a low-end top 25 side.
What would you bet on? It's kind of funny because I kind of, with Buzz Peterson, or Buzz Williams, I always get it back. I get the Buzz Peterson with the Hornets and old Tennessee friend Buzz Peterson. Buzz Williams, he was not a good culture fit at Vodtech, and now he's in Aggie land, and he seems like a much better culture fit there. But they were on the bubble where they had to keep winning in the tournament and kind of keep proving to folks like, hey, we're building something. We're actually pretty good. And they actually don't get in, and the Hokies do get in his old program. That was kind of interesting.
It's the luck of the draw, unfortunately.
Do you think they bounce back? Do you think they're better where they landed on KenPom? If you had to guess, clairvoyant Will, do you think next year they're a better team, or do you think they take a step back?
I think, honestly, they might be the exact same. If you average Torvik's projections and the ones from hoopexplorer.com, a great site, comes out as a 20th overall for them. And they were 19th last year. So I think, frankly, they're tracking pretty well to be pretty much exactly what they were last year. If they can get better luck in close games, they honestly could be a 4 or 5 seed. All it takes is just for like the bad luck you have one year to flip in your favor the next. And I mean, they could make a good little run in, what's sort of unsurprisingly projecting to be another relatively weak ACC.
Who do you think is going to be their best player next year?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think they've got a few different contenders. Hunter Couture, I think, is a good pick. I'd like to see Grant, I don't know if it's Grant Basil or whatever it is, from Wright State. who was phenomenal the last 2 years for them in the front court. I would like to see him do really well because I got a soft spot for these mid-major guys who are very under-recruited and then suddenly become legit high-major options. But I think they're going to be splitting their scoring a few different ways. I don't know if it'll be any one dude, but they will need to find some guy between now and March that is the go-to bucket getter by game's end.
I thought you were going to say you had a soft spot for the Wright State guy because of what Drew Gilbert did to Wright State on on a certain super regional last year. Do you remember that? They walk-off Grand Slam?
I do remember that.
That was Wright State.
Wright State getting to play in Dayton for the play-in was such a great advantage considering they're like 7 minutes from the campus.
Do you know like where the locations are? Wright State, Murray State? Are you just the geography guy when it comes to every school, Will? Who do you not know where they are? You gotta have
some skill in life. No, Wright State... I know 2 things about them, or 3 now. 1, they did lose to Tennessee that year, both in baseball and in basketball. 2, the Guided by Voices lead singer went there. Shout out to him. And then 3, they were 7 minutes from the Dayton Arena as they proceeded to demolish. I think it was Bryant.
There you go. I like it. Do you have any stats of the week for us, Will?
Just one, and then I've got a jet. Do you know
got
the team that has the highest? Yeah, you got it. Jimmy's jet. Jimmy Dykes posted a picture of himself on a boat this week, and somebody said it should be Jimmy's boat this year.
There you go.
I think like that would be. I don't know if that would be an improvement, but it would be pretty funny to have like ESPN's team design the graphic where it's like, if you're on the bubble, you're like hanging on to the to like the ladder on the back end as the boat's pulling away,
right,
or something like that. Or you've been thrown overboard. That would be good.
There you go.
Just thinking out loud for Jimmy here. Do you know the team that has the highest amount of, on Bart Torvik's site, returning possession minutes? Which is just like minutes weighted by how much scoring you have back.
North Carolina?
It's an ACC team, but it is not North Carolina.
Wake Forest?
It is Virginia, which is topical because we were talking about their rivals, Virginia Tech. Yeah, Virginia brings back almost 91% of their scoring and minutes from last year. They're going to be a lot more experienced, probably pretty improved, and unfortunately for a lot of neutrals, they will be back towards the top of college basketball this year. But something that really fascinates me about them is that Tony Bennett, not really a big transfers guy. He barely chased the portal at all last year, which led to them having a pretty bad team. He added 1 transfer this year, and it is the guy who shredded them in the 2021 NCAA tournament for Ohio, Ben Vanderplas. Which it's awesome that their transfer strategy was just, do you remember the last time we made the tournament? The guy that killed us? Go get him. And it works.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, yeah, Virginia's going to be back this year. They figure to be a pretty good team.
Every school in America should do that, by the way. Kentucky should go get the Joe Dirt guy from St. Peter's.
Who do we get? Who is our do we like
I always wanted Tennessee to get that Colgate guy that dropped 40 on them or whatever.
Ooh, okay.
And because he would have been like Tennessee's 900th Jordan.
We've had a lot of Jordan. Jordan McRae.
Jordan Bowden.
Yeah, a lot of Jordans.
A lot of Jordans.
There you go. Will Warren, follow you on Twitter, Stats by Will. Go check out statsbywill.com. Anything you want to plug on the website this week? Anything new?
Nothing new. I got to think of some story ideas. I'm running thin on inspiration. It's this heat.
Was that a pun? Was that an intentional pun with the running aspect? Because you and I are running. I don't know if people knew that we run, but that is something we do.
We need to do. There should be 1 week where it's just a running podcast.
Okay, I thought you were to say see if how many times we could throw in the word running and make it seem pretty organic and natural that we can not just running, but any kind of running word or adjective and things like that. See if we can do it.
Running and basketball podcast, and you invite the GOAT, Paul Flannery, on here.
There you go. Great writer.
Incredible writer.
I will say, though, personally, I don't like that he pivoted because he was a great NBA writer, and the Sunday NBA shoot-around on SB Nation
Ziller,
was so good. I miss that so much, and they both are on Substack, but it's just I miss his NBA writing, but he's a great runner. But he's hardcore, man. Paul Flannery is a hardcore runner. I read that stuff and what he's doing in his below freezing temps. We don't have that in Tennessee, but they're out there.
He's built way different than me.
He's got that dog in him. Will, thank you as always. I greatly appreciate it, and I will talk to you next week.
Talk to you soon.